Today's guest is someone who brings honesty, depth, and thoughtfulness to everything she shares. Mallory Goldman is a writer, content creator, and mother who's built a loyal community by showing up with both style and substance, sharing not only her favorite fashion finds, but her real-life experiences behind the scenes. From her surrogacy journey to motherhood, managing an autoimmune disease, and losing her home in the Pacific Palisades fire, Mally's story is one of growth, grace, and embracing the journey, even when it looks nothing like you imagined. We are so grateful to have you here today to share your story.
Mallory.
Thank you. That was such a nice intro. It reminds me of everything I've been through. I'm like, wow, my story's pretty interesting, isn't it?
It really is.
Isn't it crazy to hear that back when people introduce you and you're like,
Yes.
so that's what I'm known for?
I was like, what are you going to say? Wow, that was beautiful though. Thank you.
Actually, crazy story. Before we dive in, we were supposed to record this episode with Mallory the day of the Palisades fire. And Mallory, you and I were texting a bit. And at first you're like, I think we should maybe move it. I just want to be safe. And then the next thing you know, it's just complete devastation. Your house burns down. And we'll get into that whole part because that's a big part of your story. But it's just pretty crazy that 6 months later, we're here recording and
you've rebuilt an entire life.
Inspiring. And you've used that as part of your story. And I feel like that's what all these things you've gone through have created such a unique journey for you.
Yeah.
Yes. And you also, Shep was how old when this happened? Her son?
7 months.
So can you kind of walk us through
I know.
that time frame? So it's like Friday, you're sensing something's off.
It's a
Tuesday.
Burned in my brain.
You-
I'll never forget.
I read your
any of the
Substack.
details.
You were walking to Pilates class.
Okay. Every single morning in the Palisades, we walked to either get coffee or a smoothie. We lived like 3 blocks from like the heart of like downtown Palisades. And so it was just like part of our morning routine. Literally and I said before this, I'm like, I haven't talked about the fire in this sort of setting. So like lots of tears, I'm sure. But it was my favorite part of every day. So hard. Like 6 months. It's like, in a lot of ways, like a lifetime ago, because so much has changed. But it was really like, feels like it was yesterday. And like the mental load is still
Loading.
to unpack. Yeah. But anyways, we started our day walking to town like every morning. And so we were on our way and I noticed the wind. I was like, put Shep's like canopy down. Like things were just blowing everywhere. I remember the lights like on my neighbor's like little like columns had blown over. We were like, oh God, like, but we walked, we got coffee, whatever it was. And I was like, that's a little bit crazy. Then my nanny was running a little bit late and I was like, I wonder if like trees are falling, like what's going on? It's so windy. Like, I hope she's okay. So she gets there and she said like, there was like, debris all over the road. The wind's so crazy. And I was like, I don't know if you guys should go to the park. I was like, they were going to like figure out what they were doing that day. I was like, I don't know if you guys should walk to the park. It's really windy. I'm like, let's go outside and like see what it's like. And maybe you guys can walk to the library. Again, middle of the Palisades, like we had everything. Everything was like a stone's throw away. So I'm like, maybe you can make it across the street and you can stay inside and you'll be at the library. Let's see if you can walk or if the wind's like too crazy. And so that was probably at like 11 a.m. And I walked outside and like this fire had started at 10:30 and I just saw smoke everywhere. And I was like, okay, enough about this wind. I was like, what is going on? And I noticed on my phone that one of my best friends who lived in LA for a long time, but recently moved to Denver, had texted me and being like, are you okay? Like, I see the fire. And I was like, what is happening? I was like, what fire? And we lived like in a part of the Palisades that was not prone to fire, like at all. Like I would literally tell you it was a 0% chance, but obviously that's not true. But I didn't live like up a canyon in a hill. Like we had fire insurance. Like if you, like everything was like safe and okay as far as we knew. It was never, ever something that I thought about or like felt like there was a threat of. So it was just like a really crazy sight to see. So she texted me and I thought, and I saw the smoke and I thought it can't be anywhere near us. You know what I mean? I'm like, it must be like in a canyon far away and they'll get it contained. And like, I just didn't think it was that serious. I told my nanny to go back inside. I was like, you and Shep go back inside, play inside. Like, I don't know what's going on. And let's like see what unfolds. I had a Pilates class at 11. And so I was like, I think I'm still going to go because it looked like it was far enough away. And I just never thought that
No.
like in the town of the Palisades that there would be that sort of threat. So I went inside and did the responsible thing and I got a mask and I put a mask on because I was like, I have a rare autoimmune disease and I just am very like health conscious and I've had lung involvement in my airway. And so I was like, definitely gonna wear a mask for the walk to Pilates, but I'm gonna put a mask on and I'm gonna go into town. So I walked into town and I mean, I just remember it so vividly. All of the like store owners were like standing outside of their businesses and everybody was just like looking and nobody was talking. I like remember it being like very quiet. And I feel like everyone was just like looking at each other like and being like, this is crazy. And I had a mask on, so I really couldn't talk. Otherwise, I probably would be because I can't shut up. But I just remember like mouthing like under my mask, like crazy, like pointing and like looking at people, like at the bus stop outside of their businesses, like people just walking, being like, this is kind of crazy. Because the smoke at that point was like real and it was like hanging over town. And we couldn't tell exactly where the fire was like originating from, but I had never seen anything like this. And so I called the Pilates studio and I'm like, is class still on? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, but we won't penalize you if you don't feel comfortable. And I was like, okay. And I like hang up and I keep walking and I'm like, something just like doesn't feel right. So I called them back and I was like, I'm not going to come in. They're like, okay, no worries. We'll credit your account. Like, stay safe out there. And I called my mom and I was like, have you seen the news? And she was like, yeah, like, how does it look? And I'm like, there is so much smoke. She's like, Dad and I are home. Get Shep, pack for 2 days. Like, come have lunch. Like, we're home. Let's have lunch together. She was just like so casually, like, we're home. If the smoke's a lot, come over. Like, don't stay.
And where do your parents live?
And my parents are in Hancock Park.
Okay.
So they are like far enough removed where like the fire wouldn't be a threat to their home.
Got it.
And so my mom goes, being the smartest lady that she is, was like, pack all your important documents, grab like your most expensive, like most treasured jewelry, pack for 2 days, pack clothes for 2 days and like head over. And I was like, okay. So I called Ben. He was home too. We went inside. I packed for 2 days. Ben grabbed our documents. Like we grabbed like our watches. I grabbed like special jewelry. I remember everything that I had in my hand that I put down, like seared on my brain. I'm like, what was I thinking? Why was I literally held it in my hands and was like, no, it's okay. I'm like, we packed for 2 days. I grabbed sweat sets. Sweat sets. Cause I like can't think. I'm not in a panic at all. I'm actually very calm. I just am like trying to pack up, trying to get out. And like, I'm not afraid of my house burning down, like at all. So I'm just like, I would never think to be like, what about that favorite pair of jeans or like those bags that like my mom gave me? Like, it just was not even on my mind. I was like, the essentials that I would be like devastated to lose, like the watch I got for college graduation, like things like that are documents and just like sweat sets. Let's just like head over, leave the house. So I had a lot of things in my hand that I put back down because I thought it was ridiculous to bring to my parents' house for 2 days. And we packed up the car. The car was empty. Like we had nothing in it. The funniest part of the story was the amount of time I spent in the fridge, cleaning out my fridge before I left. I was like, oh God, gotta move the raw meat to the freezer.
And your yogurt, didn't you bring it with you?
I was like having perioral dermatitis and someone had just told me, try Greek yogurt like on your face. And I was like 2 days into it and I thought it was working. And I was like, gotta get a Ziploc, gotta pack up the Greek yogurt as if my parents don't live like around the block from like a grocery store. Gotta bring the Goop kitchen. Don't want that to go bad. Gotta put the raw meat into the freezer. Like I spent far more time in my fridge and freezer than I did in my closet, like, or anywhere. Like, like our ketubah, like just like things that like you would have loved to grab. No, I was in the fridge. And it's funny because since the fire, I've obviously spoken to like all of our friends, met so many people, and like everyone took food. Everyone took food. I have a friend whose wife was out of town who literally was like, gotta grab the head of iceberg lettuce, the tuna salad from Ralph's, and like left every one of her like Chanel bags in her closet. Like it just wasn't even on our minds.
What did you bring
could
for
possibly happen? My nanny packed up Shep. We 2 days worth of stuff, like probably 2 cans of formula, like a few bottles, like pajamas, 2 outfits. That's it.
And I feel like it's made everyone, especially in LA, think of like, what would be in my
What
go
would I
bag?
take?
And I remember like when everything was going on and houses were getting burned down, like at that point, we knew that people's homes like yours were getting burned down. And I'm in Santa Monica. And everyone was like, what would you take? Like just the handbags and jewelry in a suitcase and like none of the
I
stuff
know.
you need? Or do you take the stuff you need and leave?
Things that are sentimental, like things that are
Yeah.
irreplaceable. Like I'm like the one that I'm like my baby blanket that I slept with like my whole life. Like I'm like, that was really hard because we just wanted comforting things around us. And to like not have something like that, you're just like, oh, it was like all I needed.
Yeah, it's not about like also the most expensive things. It's the most like sentimental things.
Yeah, things that like you can't replace, like old photographs or like things that were given to you by your grandparents, or it's things like that. But like to be honest, I'm not like the most sentimental person. I do feel like my husband has honestly had a harder time like parting with the things, like the guitar his grandfather bought him, but I feel like I just remember like the experience that was like associated with the thing, like, that feeling you had when you were given it or what that day was like. And I feel like for the most part, that's like enough for me. Like I don't need the physical thing to be reminded of the memory or the experience that went along with it. It wasn't like ever about the stuff. And luckily for us, we were renting our house. So like it did like allow us to have like just like a cleaner break. Like we hadn't lived there for like too long. Like I'm not back. I haven't even been back, but I'm not back there all the time, like figuring out like what to do with my lot,
Right.
dealing with like the nitty-gritty of the insurance stuff. Like I do feel like we were able to have like a cleaner break because of that. Like there is no reason why I need to be back there. But I think for us, it was just, we loved it there like so much.
And you brought home your son there.
Yeah. And I like envisioned my life there and like I envisioned him growing up there. And so I just felt like we had like in a lot of ways just found home.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just a really huge loss, like of home, of a community, of like the vision I had for my life. And you guys know, like, it was a really special place.
For sure. It was
Yeah.
unlike anywhere else in LA. I think
A lot.
it's-
Yeah.
Gail and I would always joke when we moved here, we were like, one day we're going to be the
Yeah. It was
Palisades
just like the
moms.
dream.
Yeah, it was the dream. And it felt like this little oasis in the middle of this massive
Yeah.
county, I guess. That,
Yeah.
I feel like even West LA, you're kind of just bopping around and you'll go to West Hollywood and you'll go to,
Yeah.
wherever. But in Palisades, it really felt very special. And anyone I
Yeah.
knew who was part of that community and lost their home,
Yeah.
first of all, you all knew each other.
Yeah.
Like it was very unlike anywhere else
No.
in LA.
When we moved into our house, our neighbors threw us a block party so that like everybody could come and meet us. Like it just doesn't like happen.
Yeah. I don't know my neighbors.
No, like it's
I
just,
mean, a couple of them, but
it's just like, it was like a real community and just like it was like a little island. Like you just never left. And like our life just like really operated there. So it was just like grieving the loss of like that dream, and it still is. And we feel so lucky to have like ended up where we have. And we've made so much like progress in the last 6 months of like rebuilding our life and like dreaming up new dreams, but it still like hurts. So it's just a process.
Do you think that Shep actually helped you through all of this?
Oh my God, of course.
Because he's like so young and innocent and won't even remember all of this. So
And he just needed like formula. Like you just had to stay present because like he had needs that needed to be met. And you know what I mean? And you just like, we needed to be there for him. Like he like was our first priority and just like, so anyways, we evacuate, right? We grab those things. Our car is empty. We head down Chautauqua. It only takes us like 25 minutes. You guys know that place, like if there was a real like rush out of there and Chautauqua backed up, I mean, it could have taken 2 hours.
100%.
Yeah.
25 minutes. We were out so early. I like remember driving down PCH and like looking back and just seeing like black and everything in front of me was like blue skies. Like I have videos on my phone. Just like it was like black and then just like as if it was completely normal, like in front of me. So we went to my parents' house where we stayed for like a few weeks. And yeah, the first order of business was just like, okay, chef, like what does he need? Right? Like what does he need? What are the essential things that we need for him? We need to get formula. We need to get more bottles. He needs socks. He needs pajamas. He needs diapers. Like that grounds you and takes you out of the panic of just being like, there are things in front of me that just we have to focus on that need to get done. Like he needs us. And right, he's just like hysterically laughing, happy to be with his grandparents.
And I love what you wrote. Sorry, but I love what
Yes.
you wrote, this post that forever is etched in my
Yeah.
mind. When this happened, you wrote, we lost everything and we lost nothing.
Yeah.
And that like hit so hard because you literally had like your little family, but then you also, your house burned down. So
Yeah.
I just like, I never forgot that.
No.
And I think, as you said, like it humanizes you almost like you're out of the experience of what's happening and you're like, I just got to buy a diaper. Like,
yeah. And like I can buy a diaper and like how lucky am I to be able to buy a diaper for my kid and like we're going to be okay. Like we're at my parents' house, we have a roof over our heads, we're surrounded by people that love us. Like it's going to be okay. We're here and we're healthy and like that's the number one thing. You know, I've been through like a lot of health stuff in my life. And so I just know that that's number one. Like it has always been my number one thing that like immediately I was able to see that. So I feel like really blessed that I've been trained to know that like if you are healthy, you have everything. Like, and so I remember we sat on my parents' couch and just like watched it burn to the ground, basically. And it was just like, I mean, you guys were sitting in front of the TV too. It was just like unbelievable. You were like you just couldn't believe that it was getting worse and like spreading. You were just like, one town, like you're like, wait, what? Like, how is it in like the town is burning? This is like the craziest thing I've ever seen. But they couldn't report from like my neighborhood, like my pocket, because I think my pocket was like literally too bad. They like couldn't even get to that area. I mean, the houses were really like, I lived in like the sweetest little neighborhood. The houses were like all very close together. I think one caught fire and I think it was just like an inferno. And so they weren't reporting from there. So I didn't know because I was like, it's on the other side of town. Like as if it would have made any difference if like that little pocket survived. It didn't. Not one house survived in my neighborhood. So it was just too bad. But we were sitting on my parents' couch and all of a sudden our phones went off and my alarm, and I have screenshots, like the craziest, most like chilling thing. It said that our windows like had defaulted, like this window defaulted. And I was like, okay. And it was the windiest, the issue was that it was like the windiest day ever. I'm like, maybe it blew one of the windows open, you know? And then like more windows defaulted. And then all of a sudden the fire, like it kept being like the smoke detector in the hallways going off, the smoke detectors and we were like, the house is filling with smoke, right? Because the windows are open. We're like, the house isn't on fire, the house is filling with smoke. As if, again, that would have been any better. Everything would have been completely smoke damage and like it would have been the exact same result. But like, we were just like, I don't know, we just couldn't like quite grasp it. And so I went to bed that night like with no hope, but like some like tiny sliver. I obviously like could not sleep, but like eventually like 4 a.m. I had to like I like knock myself out. I wake up probably a few hours later and I text my dad because I know he'll be up because he's a terrible sleeper. And I'm like, what's the latest or something? And he said, call me. And I was like, oh God. And so I call my dad. He's obviously like in the other room. He's like, call me. And he said, it's all gone. Like, I'll never forget it. I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, everything. It was just like unbelievable. And I think I said like exactly after that, I said to him, we lost everything and we lost nothing. It was like immediately where I went, you know? And I was prepping myself for that news the day before. So like I was like able to like come to like my center and like to what mattered. So, like, I feel like I had that in my brain already, but it was like the first thing I said to my dad because I was just like, we're all here and we're all okay, right? Like, your dad could text you, call me, and he could say a lot of things that would be way more like earth shattering than your town burning down. Of course, it was like horrible, you know, and it's been clearly really hard, but there are so many other things that he could have said that I was so grateful that I wasn't in that position, that I was just so happy to like hug my mom, hug my dad, hug my husband, like hug my baby, hug my dog. Like we were all there and we were all okay. My sister were like, like we were all safe. We were all okay. And I think that I just like was very, like, it was easy to see that and just be like, we're going to get through this and we're going to be okay. Like we might not be okay right now, but we do have what matters.
It says so much about your personality and who you are
Yeah.
and how you were raised and your values.
Yeah.
That was your first thought because I truly don't know if that would be, I'd like to think that would be my first thought, but
I do think
But I
it
also
would
think
be.
given like, and I want to get into
Yeah, like everything.
your autoimmune disease and how that, ended up in your surrogacy. But it's like given what you've gone through, you have such life perspective.
Yeah.
And radiates within you. Like,
Thank you.
and you can have perspective from a bird's eye view, whereas so many of us are so fixated on the little day-to-day details. But when you've gone through what you've gone through, it really gives you perspective. So you've made amazing strides.
Yes.
You
We're
have
doing
a
good.
home.
Yeah.
Did you buy the home?
No, we
Or is it rented?
rented a new,
It's a beautiful
new
home.
house. We did it. My friend like worked miracles. Obviously, it was a shit show trying to find housing
my God,
after
a
the
shit
fire
show,
because like 22,000 people are displaced, and everybody wants to be as close to home as they can be for the most part, and kids are in school. And you know what I mean? Like they don't have the luxury of picking up and going to New York where their family lives, because it's the middle of school year. Or they don't, they're trying to, I don't know, keep as much like normalcy as they can for their kids, for themselves, whatever it was. We felt the same way. I was like, I don't want to be far from home, I want to be close to family. I want to be close to my friends. I want to go to the beach. Like I want to do the things that bring me so much joy, that make me me, that don't involve like physically where my house is. So we were at my parents' for a while. I don't know what a while is, maybe like 3 weeks or so. And that was like so lovely. It was like the softest place to land. My mom and my dad are like so supportive and so loving and were so helpful in making sure that we like had what we needed to live, to get dressed, to all the things. And then like 3 weeks into that, I think my husband and I just looked at each other and were just like, I think we like need spaces of family to just like process and like maybe begin to heal and bring like routine back into our life and like fun and laugh. And because there wasn't like much laughing, I would say, in like those first 3 weeks. Like, of course, you have your baby and like everything he does is silly. So there like were moments that were light, but like it was like a pretty like heavy time. So we rented a house on the beach in Newport and we like went down for like almost a month and we had like a really great time. My son crawled like for the first time like on the sand and my dog is like running loose and like jumping into the water and I was going to Pilates and I was walking and we were close to everything like in the same way we were in the Palisades. Like we could walk and get coffee every like just things that felt very familiar and like very safe and very fun. And we were like laughing and trying new restaurants and just like getting back to like us while also like talking and processing and doing all the things and figuring out what the heck was next because it was obviously impossible to find housing. So we kind of didn't know what was going to come next, if we were going to do like a short-term rental down there. Like we knew we wanted to be back in LA, but we were like maybe short-term, like we're down here. Or like we were having fun. We had friends from the fire that were down there as well. It was funny, like after the fire, we were like fire friends only.
Yeah, I was gonna say your fire friends, like
Yeah.
your vacation friends or sorority
We just
friends.
like
You're not
couldn't
your
see
fire
anyone
friends.
else because like none of us had like anything to wear. So we would like all show up in like the most like absurd outfits because we were like, it's all we have. Like we just like, like all of us just like, we were a mess. Like
Yeah.
crying absolutely like out of nowhere, laughing, crying, manic. Like we just like needed to be together. Talking about, right, what we took, what we didn't take, like what we missed, like all the things. It just like felt very comforting and was so like representative of what the Palisades was that like immediately we just like went to our community and like we were like, we're going to get through this together, right? It's like a shared experience and I'm so grateful for that. It's like so awful that we all like this day is so like ingrained in our brain and our memories and everything. But I'm like, it bonds me to these people forever. Forever. You know what I mean? And like, I feel like I'm like, you could be in like on vacation one day and like hear someone say the Palisades. And I feel like immediately it's like
An antenna goes up.
yeah, I would be like, Tell me everything. Like, did you live there?
So,
Like,
speaking of outfits, you mentioned you were wearing the same thing. Like, you have a platform on Instagram that is very fashion oriented.
Yeah.
I follow you. I swipe up on all your content.
Yeah.
How is it also like, I know material things are just material things, but a lot of your closet is part of your job and your identity and who you are. So did you feel any sort of way about that? And how did you go on like rebuilding your platform, who you are? Did it affect your identity? Did it affect your brand?
So the rebuilding story is like interesting, right? I was like, I'm such like a business savvy person. I'm like, there's a way to make this like so fun and interesting, right? Because it's like coming back to like, okay, I have nothing and being like, where do I begin?
Yeah.
And I feel like that was so honestly like fun and different to share of being like, I got to get my favorite white tees. I got to get my jeans. I got to get this sweatshirt that I lived in. Like, what did I buy first? Like, it is so interesting. Like, what do you do when you have nothing? Right. And I never thought I would be in that position. And it was kind of like this blank slate to like begin again. And I was like, little things would like almost give me like, I was like, oh my God, my workout clothes were like a mess. You know what I mean? Like nothing matched. Things were too tight. Like padding was like flying out of the sports bras, like just things that had been like on my list to just like make over. And I was like, well, that's done. You know what I mean? Like I could start from scratch. And like my socks that didn't match
All
and like
matching stuff. Like
all of your
socks.
junk drawers just magically gone. Like my husband is like borderline hoarder and I'm like, all that shit that like he was holding on to. Like like, so in a weird way, it gives you like this blank slate to like begin again. And I actually think like the content was like, it's so interesting to be like,
I loved it.
This
I loved
fresh
it. It's like,
perspective.
you absolutely love something when you not only buy it, but you replace it when it's
You
gone.
buy it again.
And your people are like, oh, she really liked those jeans. Maybe it's time I swipe up and buy them.
Literally. And I was like, it was like a very fun story to tell. I will say like getting back into work after this was like a really like interesting process because it was like, again, it was dark for a minute. Like, and I'm such a light person. I really am. I just like turn to like lightness and positivity like everywhere because it has gotten me through like hard times. So it's just like very much like in my bones to be like positive and light. And it just like wasn't the time. You know what I mean? Like I needed like a few weeks to really just be like,
Breathe.
I don't want to be like this light, positive person right now because I just don't feel that way.
But you were also like pretty much postpartum. You were what, 5 months, 6 months postpartum?
Yeah,
Or I
it
guess
was 7 months.
7 months.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's still like very early
you're
to have your
navigating-
entire world shaken up.
Yeah.
Did you have any sort of like identity crisis or just not feeling like yourself in those first couple of months of Shep?
I will say that I think we like fought so hard for him. I was just like so happy.
Oh.
Like I just think we had the best time ever. Like I loved that bubble more than anything. I also had like the benefit of like feeling great in my body and in my mind, right? Like I was me. I was not the hormone. I didn't have those other factors like in my postpartum experience. You know what I mean? Like I really was coming at it from this like clear mind, feeling good, not recovering physically. And we had so much fun, like so much fun. I mean, I was able to sleep, you know what I mean? Like we were really lucky to have not every night, but like have a night nurse come like a few days a week, which allowed me like to get literally like sleep because I wasn't breastfeeding. I wasn't pumping. I would like go upstairs and literally as if it was like our old life. We would like turn on the TV. Like I feel like there was like a new season of Love Island and it was like, we were just us. Like you could just like turn it off and like recharge. And so I think that allowed us to just have fun. And we were again, just so grateful for him, given like all the hoops we had like gone through to get to this result. I felt like the harder transition was coming out of that like newborn bubble where like your one and only focus is your baby, right? Like calls go in unanswered, texts go unanswered, like you're not working. I was still working, but like you're not working at the same level. Like he's sleeping on me. We don't have to teach him anything, how to nap, how to this, how to that. We're watching TV. Like, you know what I mean? Like I think coming out of that and being like, I have to get back to my life and then figuring out how the hell do those two things happen together? Like, how am I now like a mom and all I want to do is like be with him, but I also want to do everything I was doing before. And I feel this pressure to do everything I was doing before. Like, how am I now going to put those two lives together and like somehow not totally burn out? Again, I have like a rare autoimmune disease. Like, it is like so important for me to like take care of myself, like I need to be sleeping. I can't like flood my plate and like burn myself out because I will get sick. And then like, what good am I to anyone, or to myself, right? Like, I can't be there for Shep if I'm sick. I can't be a good partner to Ben if I'm sick. Like, I can't like do a great job at my job if I'm sick. Like, it all will crumble if I let myself get to that place. And autoimmune diseases, usually you flare when you're run down, And so I've spent my life like protecting myself so that I can be like my healthiest self. And I think when I first brought those two lives together, I was like trying to do it all. And I was like totally burning myself out, like I felt that pressure to do it all. I like came to them and I was like, I'm so tired. I was like, I don't know how to like be creative at work and like keep pumping there and like be around for Shep and like be around for Ben and make sure that everyone's getting fed and like all of these things. Like I was just like, I didn't feel like I was doing my best at like anything. You know what I mean? And I just wasn't feeling like, especially with work, like it was hard to be creative because I was just so tired and so burnt out. And I remember my parents being like, and I like pride myself a lot on my work and I'm like a very hard worker. And I just was like, I wasn't proud of the work I was like pumping out. And I was just like, I'm really tired. And Ben was like, you have to remember that like, you are not like everyone else, like some people might be able to do it all, or some people might do it all and burn themselves out, and that's okay. But like in your circumstance, like it is not an option, right? Like you need more help. You need to ask for more help. Like you need to set yourself up for success, and it cannot be firing on all these cylinders at the expense of your health, right? Because like, then what, right? If you don't have your health, then like, where do we go from there,
I think regardless if you have an autoimmune disease or not, and I find it very inspiring, but it's just like, regardless, you need to take care of yourself. And I think
Yes.
motherhood has taught both of us, and I think a lot of people, that if we don't take care of ourselves, we can't be a good mom. And
Yeah.
that's the whole point. So
Yes.
for people out there who are just doing everything for their kids, but like then burning their like light, then what are you doing? Because then they don't have you, which is the most important thing.
Yeah. Or they don't have the best version of you.
Yeah, that's
Like,
exactly
you can't
it.
sit there and show up for them and like laugh with them and be creative. And you know what
And
I
what's
mean?
the
Like I
point?
say about being creative in my job, but it's like there's a lot of creativity in motherhood. And like
Yeah.
they deserve for you to like get on the floor and be like, let's play with the blocks this way. And like you want to be able to be that mom. And of course, you're not always going to be able to, but to set yourself up for success, to be that person as much as you possibly can, that feels good. You know what I mean? You go to sleep being like, that was such a fun hour. You know what I mean? And he was like over the moon excited instead of like sitting there multitasking, answering an email, doing this. And then he's like, you know what I mean? He's getting half of you. You know what I mean? If you're just able to like split it up a little bit and be like, I'm going to be present here, then I'm going to be present here. I'm going to say no to this. I'm going to ask for help there. Then like everybody's getting a better version of you. And you're also just like much more productive.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
Always
100%.
talk about this.
yeah, you can get it done in less time if you can just have the energy and focus. When you're so exhausted, you can't do that.
Can't do it.
Right. So Shep was brought into this world via surrogate.
Yes.
And you opened up so beautifully on your platform about it. And we really admire that you also kind of kept this private until the end. Walk us through it, because I think it's so unique. I don't believe we've ever had anyone come on our podcast to talk about surrogacy. And we would love to hear, what your process was like and
Yeah.
why. I mean, I know you touched on your autoimmune disease. but
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you can also
Yes.
touch on like how you found a surrogate, because I know there are a lot of people out
Yes.
there who are struggling to find one.
Yes. Oh my God. So I'm the perfect person because I'm like surrogacy's like number one fan. I literally am like, if anybody tells me that they're like considering the journey or starting the journey, I'm like, buckle up. It's actually the best. It's like really, really like sweet and special. And we just had a very positive experience. So I feel like I'm the perfect person to talk to about it because I'm like, it just was like really lovely and like really smooth. And I just absolutely loved every minute of it. Most minutes of it. Obviously, there are parts of it that are hard, but as a whole, it's like really, really special. And I feel very, very, very grateful to have been able to embark on that journey. So yeah, so I have a rare autoimmune disease, inflammatory autoimmune disease that I was diagnosed with when I was 14. So summer before my freshman year of high school, which was lovely timing, of course. I mean, I was 14. So as I got older, it became part of the conversation, about having kids and how it might look different, whether it was, IVF or surrogacy. Like they were all words that I had heard. And so many things like about my life from like 14 to having a baby were like not normal. They were just like a little bit different because I have this disease that nothing really like throws me off. I'm always like half expecting to go about it in like a new and different way. Basically, we were getting like more serious about having children. And I feel like a lot of doctors were like, you can, but I don't know. And there's not a lot of data. And like, maybe we could stop this medication and hopefully you don't need surgery. And like, if you did, we'd figure it out. Like, it's not plan A, but like, it'd be okay and you'd get through it. And I was just like, oh my God, like, it just like didn't sound good. But they also were not giving me clear direction. And it's like a big decision to like make on your own. You know what I mean? And also partially because surrogacy is like so unattainable for so many people because it's really expensive. And so I think it's hard for a doctor to say like, hey, I think you should like look into surrogacy or when they don't know if that's an option for you. So things were very loose and we had a lot of non-answers and we didn't have a plan and I was really ready. And, finally I saw my doctor in New York because I was diagnosed. I grew up in New Jersey. I was diagnosed with Columbia Children's and I've kept a lot of my doctors in the loop from New York because they're like very like specialists and all the things. So I saw my doctor in New York and my like favorite joke is like, leave it to a New Yorker to give it to you straight. He just looked at me and he was just like, are you crazy? Like, you know what I mean? He was like, this is like a really, like, it's a bad idea. And I was like, oh, it's a bad idea. And he was like, yeah, it's not a good idea. And I was just like, okay, you know what I mean? I was like, if you're telling me it's like not a good idea, I want what's best for myself and for my baby. You know what I mean? He was like, your baby is only as healthy as you are. You're playing with fire, like this can go a lot of ways. And a lot of ways it's not good. And just like, if this is an option for you, like I highly recommend looking into it. And obviously I was like so upset because I was just like, it's in the back of your mind, but then you're like, oh my God, I'm like really not going to carry my babies. Like, this is crazy. So I was definitely like very upset, like obviously bawled my eyes out for the day. I remember like crying into a bagel. Like I was just like, I was so upset. And then that night I like rolled over before bed and like I said to Ben, I was like, well, what agency should we use? And he was like, what? And I was like, how do we find, what agency should we go through for the surrogate? And he was like, oh my God, that's like a complete 180. Like you're right. Like you're good. And I was like, you got it out. I'm ready. Like, let's go. And so I think like that's very much how I do things for the most part, or at least in my like health. I feel like it's been the trend. I feel like the fire's dragged on a little more. Like one good crying day just doesn't make it go away, but it's just new grief to navigate. But this, I have a handle on my health. I'm like, I'm going to let it out. I'm going to feel my feelings and then I'm moving forward. Like I'm a fighter. You know what I mean? I'm like, you can't knock me down. So I cried. And then that night I was just like, let's move this shit forward. And he was like, okay. He was like, can I have another day? Like he was still trying to like wrap his head around it too, as like the other person in the equation. But he was like very close behind me. So we got back to LA and I had a very close friend that had just had a baby via surrogate. And I was just like, hey, like, how did you do it? Like, what agency did you use? Did you have a good experience? Would you recommend it? She was like, let's all go to lunch, like with her and her husband, and let's all go to lunch. We'll tell you everything. And like, you can go from there. And so we went to lunch. She told us everything. And I really trusted her. And she said she had an awesome experience. And sometimes for me, like less information is more. And I was just like, felt very clear. We like set up a call to meet like the head of this agency. Absolutely loved her, like put in a deposit and like joined the wait list to be matched with the surrogate. So how it works. Okay. There are lots of agencies. I think for the most part, you go through an agency. I think there are probably other ways to go about it that are like a little less buttoned up. But for the most part, you go through an agency. They take a deposit, you go on a wait list, and then you fill out a bunch of paperwork that is basically like what you're looking for in a surrogate. And they do the process of matching you with someone. Usually for us, it took maybe like 9 months to get matched.
It's like literally the time of like pregnancy.
Yeah, exactly. You get, like I think it's probably like not anywhere from like 8-10 months, a year to get matched with someone, or sometimes quicker. And for us, we got like her profile. We read all about her. You say whether or not like you're interested in meeting them. And we were interested in meeting her. We did it over Zoom, I think, like after COVID, and also with distance. A lot of the times that first meeting is like over Zoom. The head of the agency's on there, maybe like a caseworker, and you're on there and they kind of facilitate the conversation. They throw in questions. They like allow you guys to kind of get to know each other. Then you're supposed to sleep on it. And then in the morning, you say like whether or not you want to move to the next step. So our surrogate was the first person we matched with. We just like got the feeling where I was like, this woman's like an angel. And then you go through medical clearance. They have to be medically cleared by like your IVF doctor. If they're medically cleared, you move to like legal. If you get through legal, you like prep for transfer. So like all in, it was probably, I don't know, just like probably over a year before we were transferring our healthiest embryo into her. And her and her husband were just like the loveliest people. And it was just like very smooth. I think for us, because I had never tried to get pregnant on my own, I think the experience was unique in that I didn't bring like all of this trauma with me. Like I sat through the ultrasounds like very like relaxed, and like only expecting to hear like good things, because I never sat there and gotten bad news. I think a lot of the times like women and people that are going through surrogacy are bringing with them like so much hurt and like loss that it's hard. Like it's hard, and it's hard to trust that they're doing the right thing, and all they want is for this healthy baby, you know what I mean, to be good. And I think sometimes the experience is a lot more tense and like a lot less enjoyable because it's just harder to trust. But I think we were able to come into it with like this blank slate of being like, it's going to be good. You know what I mean? And like, we're going to sit there and it's going to be okay. And everything's going to go well. And like, we're here and we've arrived and we can't wait to meet him. And so it just was like enjoyable. And I think it allowed us to really bond with her too, because we weren't like anxious messes. Like we felt really good. And we were like, our shoulders were down and we were relaxed. And we just like went to lunch with them after every appointment. You know what I mean? We would just like celebrate all the wins and just like, we just had fun with it. And we really got to know them and bond with them. And now I'm like, please do it again for me.
Yeah.
One day. 202 seems crazy. As much as you like love your baby with like every fiber of your being, and you're like, I want another one like now because you're so cute and I just have like more love to give and I want more. But I do hope one day it would be like my dream come true to go through it with them again.
You are a public figure.
Yeah.
How did you decide to keep this all private? And also, how did you? Because it's a huge part to be expecting a child.
I know. Well, it helps that you're not showing.
But it's still like your headspace, your energy, you're kind of like wrapped into it.
Yes.
So how did you decide when to share it? And what was that like for you?
So I think for us, the decision to not share it came from like, as I said before, like sometimes less information is just better. And we were going into it, like we had the one friend that we spoke to who we felt really good about like her story and the agency. And we just like made a decision. We moved it forward. I think that I was afraid of like too much information, like good and bad, but like even good can be really overwhelming. And so I think that it was out of like, if I share this, like, again, I'm opening the floodgates to like everybody's stories of like the people they've known who have gone down this path, or they've gone down this path, what their like journey looked like. And I think I just wanted to like let the journey unfold for us the way it was like meant to. It's funny. I remember like the Khloe Kardashian episode where she has the baby via surrogate. Like my friends were all watched it and they were like, you have to watch it. It was like so magical. And I was like, I'm not going to watch it because my experience in the hospital delivering my baby might not look like Khloe's. And I don't want to go into it and have like expectations of X, Y, and Z. And then I feel like I'm a really big expectations person. So I like have to manage it. But I didn't want to go into it and expect like, you know what I mean? Like the the Kardashian treatment and then be like, wait, where's my like private suite? Or like, where's like, I just didn't want to go into it expecting like anything. So I felt like I just wanted to like drown out any
Noise.
potential noise.
Yeah.
And just experience it like together. It was like such, like, it's like when you find out you're pregnant before you tell anyone, like, it's like the sweetest little like secret. You're like, ha, I know something that you don't know. We did tell all of our family and friends. And on that note, like I didn't share it on my Instagram or any of that. But like if I ran into anyone I would consider like an acquaintance who I was friendly with, like I would have like told you because usually, I mean, you're like 6, 8 months pregnant, like someone looks down and they're like, oh my God, tell me everything. Like, what do you do? What are you having? And I didn't like have that, like I wasn't carrying it around with me. So you couldn't look at me and be like, sharing my excitement.
Right.
So I felt like I had to be the one to like bring that like normalcy to like the experience I was going through and like get that moment with people. Like it was on me to get that moment, right? Like I had to be the one to be like, by the way. And that was such a fun part of it. And something that was like really important to us was like normalizing our experience wherever we could. Like, of course, I did IVF and I could have known the gender the day of the transfer. But like, I didn't want to know. I wanted to find out with the blood test. And like, you know what I mean? Like little things like that. And we did a gender reveal. And I told people, I told like everyone I ran into, I was bursting with joy. Like, how could I have kept it in? So I think I got the release like in my like day-to-day life by just like sharing the news with literally anyone that would listen. Like even I told you, I walked to coffee or a smoothie like every single morning in the Palisades. So like these people were my best friends. And so I was like, I can't show up one day with a baby. They're going to be like, Mallory, what is going on? Like we're on that level where like, I have to tell them. Like, so literally I would be like, Ben, like when should we tell like Ben at Cafe Lux? And he was, you know what I mean? Like it was important to me. I was like, I don't want to just like have no one know. I just want to like share the joy around.
You deserve to have that shared experience.
Yeah.
Because even though it wasn't how, you didn't go through the actual pregnancy, why should you not, have that excitement and miss out on those moments?
Yeah.
Because it's really exciting when people are excited for you and what's to come. So
Yeah.
Did you
absolutely.
ever feel any sort of shame or judgment or any of that stuff?
No, I think that it helps that we live here. I mean, I feel like I literally know 10 people going through surrogacy right now, like off the top of my head.
Wow.
Between like New York and LA. Like I also am like the spokesperson for surrogacy now that like if anybody knows anybody who's like going down the path, they're like, can they call you? I'm like, yes, call me. I mean, I must talk to multiple people a month. Like there's
amazing.
Like for me, it
Good
feels
for
like
you,
it's
too.
becoming like much more like normal and common for whatever reason, people are choosing it. So I feel like living here, there's like no real stigma. People are like, good for you. Like, I wish. You know what I mean?
A lot of my friends were like, I'd have a third baby, but I'm not carrying.
Yeah. So many I know that.
Honestly, we're like, respect.
We
like,
have a girl in our mom group who had a child via surrogacy, two children via surrogacy, not on purpose. Like
one of them had a miscarriage. One of her surrogates had a miscarriage. So she found another surrogate. And then that person, like, it transferred again or something like that. So she has
thing happened.
She has
only a few months apart.
2 kids, 4 months apart with different surrogates.
And I know stories, obviously, which I'm sure you guys do too, of the mom being like not being able to get pregnant for whatever reason, getting a surrogate, the surrogate gets pregnant,
and then they both
the
get
mom
pregnant.
gets pregnant. And like I know, like one of my good friend's sisters has happened to, and the babies are like a month and a half apart.
It's absolutely wild.
It's wild.
It's so true though. But in LA, how everyone has nothing phases anyone.
No,
is what I love.
Yes, because I just feel like everybody's like unique, like doing their own thing, and I just feel like nothing. It's always what I loved about LA, which is so funny. Like growing up, like in a smaller town in New Jersey, where I felt like a lot of people felt it. Like just felt like everyone was like pretty similar. I had friends that lived out here. I went to camp in Maine and I randomly had like a handful of friends that were from LA and I would like visit all the time. And I was just like so obsessed with it. I got sick when I was 14. And I think in my mind, like LA was like it was like when everything was going to be good. Like, you know what I mean? I was sick in high school. Like it's hard to be that person and like be sick and look sick and I was on like prednisone, which is like the drug that probably saved me, but just like killed me inside because prednisone is like a miracle drug, but like the side effects are really rough. So, anyways, I feel like going through high school, I just was like very much looking forward to like the future and just like having like a clean slate. And we spent a lot of time out here because I had a lot of friends from camp that lived here and I just loved it. And I remember my sister's 3 years older than me, and she toured like a bunch of schools out here for college. And I went with her and we saw USC and I was like, I don't care if you go here, but I am going here. I was in 7th grade. I was like,
I love
obsessed.
that. You manifested that.
Obsessed. I like put my like screensaver on my like desktop computer to USC, and I don't think it changed until like I got in like senior year of high
crazy.
school.
That's like literally manifesting.
I was like,
you believed it so
I
much.
believed. And I
Put it
got
everywhere.
sick and I felt like every nurse I had was from LA. Like I just like felt like LA was just like that thing that got me through like a hard time. A lot of my friends went to like funky like art school and they like wore combat boot. And I was just like, it's so cool that everybody is different and they're like celebrated to be different. Like, you know what I mean? And so I feel like with surrogacy, like I feel like LA, like people are pretty unfazed by being different or like different paths. If anything, they're like, so cool, tell me more. That I don't feel like I felt that at all.
What do you think is the most common misconception with surrogacy?
Oh my God. I don't even know if it's a misconception, but I just feel like nobody knows anything.
Well, see, this is the problem though. This is why it needs to be talked about like by people like you.
Nobody knows anything about surrogacy. Like they don't know how the baby gets inside her.
Really?
I just
they don't think about the IVF.
I just think some people know nothing. And it's people that live in big cities that are exposed to so much all the time. And I'm like, what are these questions? You like, let me teach you. With IVF too, I think if you don't like go through it or have close people that go through it, like I think some people just don't know about it. Like, I don't know, especially the men.
Yeah.
Especially the men. They're like, wait, tell me more. I'm so confused. Is it your baby? I'm like, it's my baby. We were lucky that like, you know, the eggs and the sperm, like that wasn't the problem. So we had healthy embryos. We were like really lucky that that part was smooth and like relatively painless. And I'm like, this is my baby going inside of this angel of a person. And she's going to deliver this baby and we're going to go home and like start our life. And they were like, what? So I think that that's like the biggest thing of just being like, this is a road that can be your path. And you can do so many things to make it feel so normal. And also like, this can be your normal. Like I kept being like, why, you know, like normal is such a silly word, but like for me and for Ben, like this is how babies are born. You know what I mean? Like that's all we know. Of course, like we have friends that carry and all of that. Like in my family, this is how we bring babies into the world. And like, why is that not normal? You know, it's just a different way.
It just needs to be talked about more. And it's starting with you and sharing your story. So we appreciate that. And another thing I love that you said was the less is more approach, because I'll give an example for me. So my baby was breech for forever. Went to go do the ECV procedure, which is a procedure where they try to flip the baby.
Oh my God.
And I didn't want to know anything. And Dale was
really
like,
painful, isn't it?
Dale was like, oh, should I tell her? Like, whatever. So I get to the appointment. They're like, would you like an epidural? I was like, what do you mean? Why would I get an epidural? Like, well, it's really painful. So like a lot of people opt for an epidural. But see, if I had known that, I would have,
it would have tripped you up the whole time.
So I was like, no, thank you. I'll be okay.
Less is more.
I mean, it was really, really painful. It was the most pain. No,
of course.
It
never work.
No, because you know what I also think is that I think that like forceful energy never works for me. When I try to force something to happen, it's just not going to work. So especially like manually trying to put my baby.
This is what meant.
But I remember Dale saying to me, yeah, you know, I didn't want to say anything. Because I really feel like in motherhood too, and I would love to hear your experience now that Shep is like over a year old. There is so much noise and so many people's opinions. How do you kind of navigate that?
Everything.
Right. So how do you navigate
like,
it?
One, like they all want to talk to me about preschool. I'm like, I picked like I have one preschool that I think will be great for him. Like off he goes. I'm like, enough.
Oh, the preschool.
Like
I know.
Whatever. Like, you know, but okay. So I like run anxious for sure. And I just feel like for me, like when I get too much information, I like get totally paralyzed. Like that's why I had to like hire an interior designer, like down to that. Cause I'm like, if you give me that task, I will hem and haw about every
Right.
decision until I'm blue in the face. For some reason, it doesn't extend to like my clothes or like certain parts of my life that I feel like I thrive. But I can get like very overwhelmed. And then I'm just like, I can't, like, I just can't decide. And I get stressed and I get anxious and like all the things. So I really try to just protect my peace. And so for me, I feel like less is more. I feel like I have friends who I really trust. I'm like, I know you're like thorough, you're freaking smart, you know what's up. Like, what stroller am I getting? You know what I mean? She's like, and then she just tells me, and I'm like, done, order placed. Like, I'm like, if I start asking,
You start going down the rabbit hole and looking into every little like
it's
detail
just gonna
and-
take over your life.
But how about the unsolicited things that you can't not get?
I think
like
you
if
just like, I just go
you
like,
tune it out?
yeah. She's like,
Good.
oh, so
Yeah.
interesting. Like,
But that's easier said than done.
yeah, I guess so. Going through all of my health stuff, I've had to like put a lot of trust in people, right? Like I have doctors and I'm like, I have chosen you because I think you're brilliant. You know what I mean? Maybe I like go like get a second opinion and I decide on someone, right? Like this is like a very like thought out decision. I trust you. I'm in your hands. Like lead me on the right path. And so I think for so long, I've had to put like my trust in my doctors that I think I just choose my source and then I stick to it. So if someone said to me like, you're giving him too much milk, I would be like, my pediatrician, right? Again, I guess she's a doctor. I trust doctors a lot. But I'm like, my pediatrician who I have like carefully chosen has told me that this is the right amount of milk. So like, I don't care what you're saying, right? So like, I'll be polite. Like I'm always polite where I'm like, oh, it's so interesting. Like maybe I'll run it by my pediatrician, you know, or something like that. So I think I would just, and like I said, I have this like one friend who I'm just like, you know, she is like a 3-year-old and like maybe a baby that's just younger than Shep. But she has an older child and she's been through it. And I like have always trusted her and I love her. And I think she's brilliant and like does the work and does the research. And so like, I feel like she's kind of like my source or my sister where I'm like, just tell me what's up. And then I don't like really question it. I just like,
That's how I'm with Dale. Whatever she
yeah.
says.
But doesn't that help?
It's so great
You're
that
like-
you've hand selected people.
Yes.
And then you're like, okay, I've done the work of choosing who I want my support to be.
Correct.
And now
Because I
can
know what
follow
I'm-
my intuition.
Yes, I know like my strong suits and like I don't think like researching the car seat that's like best for my baby is a strong suit of mine, nor am I going to get pleasure out of doing it. The mommy and me, like I remember that like being like the first thing that I like was leaving the house for. And like every time I was like, what am I wearing?
Yes.
And it's funny because like I was dressing my body. They were all like dressing new bodies that they had just met. And it was just like, I feel like such a point of like content. Like we were all just like, what do we do? What do we wear? Like some days I was like going to a gala and like other days I was like wearing like way too short shorts and then I'm like in the grass. Like I'm like, I gotta like figure this out, you know?
We need a full episode on that because
Yeah.
we were even saying that we need a whole closet overhaul.
Yeah, we do.
But if
Do you
anyone
feel that?
listening, where they can find your Substack, you on Instagram, and if anyone also is going through surrogacy and has questions,
Yes, you can call
please
me.
DM.
Should I just say my number? I'm just kidding.
Wouldn't put it past you.
Mostly on Instagram for sure, which is Mallory K. Goldman. And then mostly on TikTok, which is my TikTok is catching up. Because I feel like I'm always catching up because I'm always behind.
And that's your Substack too.
My Substack is called Catching Up. So
Well,
much fun.
thank
We
you
laughed,
so
we
much.
cried.
So much. We did laugh. We
Thank
cried.
you for being so open and vulnerable.
My
Really
pleasure. This was so
Yeah,
much
this
fun.
was
Thank you
amazing.
for having me.